All right, Matthew Brenner here from W Your Dojo. I am here with Fari. Say hi, Fari.
Good morning.
So Fari here is working with me in W Your Dojo, and he is a multi-school operator. And he came on board because he wanted structure for his business, and of course, he wanted growth. He wanted new students in the door, and kind of reclaim a lot of the glory of his martial arts school. Of what it reclaim a lot of the glory of what it was before COVID. And I think a lot of people are kind of dealing with that challenge now. So thank you for being on here today. So Fari, let's kind of start by telling just like tell us a little bit about yourself, your martial arts school situation. Give us a little background.
Okay, I'm 57 years old. We own our own building. I'm a full-time martial arts professional that's been teaching for 40 years. So I'm pretty much the old dog on the block.
Okay, cool. And I think not I think I know actually that when you came on board with me, you're like, hey, this is I used to do a lot of the consulting, a lot of helping myself. And so tell us a little bit about that, like your background.
I'm a natural giver and I love to help people, but it's a case of, you focus on so many other people and you tend to forget about yourself, and you can lose your way and forget about the most important person in the world. And everything starts and ends with you. So, with yourself, you've given me an opportunity to, be the student as opposed to, being the teacher, being the mentor. So, even everyone, I think, needs someone. So, you've been that someone for me.
Okay, all right, great. Thanks for saying that. So what was the challenge you had before you decided to join my program?
First of all, obviously had to let a little bit of ego go, and a lot of pride. The fact is that we're nowhere near as big as we were pre-COVID. So for me, it's a case of wiping the slate clean and starting afresh. And just being open to new ideas and a new approach. And I think things have changed, things have evolved. And if someone is doing better than me, and obviously you're doing much, much better than me, you've got some serious numbers. For me, it's about to talk. It's about talking to someone with those serious numbers that has fine-tuned, that has survived COVID. Because let's face it, if you haven't survived COVID, you weren't in a good position to begin with.
Totally. So what challenges, I guess, were you dealing with since COVID that you wanted to address specifically?
Well, again, the retention mentality is changed. People's attitudes have changed, so we need to adjust how we're talking to people, how we're handling, and sometimes it's not only as a reminder. Oh, my apologies.
That's okay.
Let me put that down. My apologies. You'll have to edit that.
Nah, it's all good. Yeah, keep going.
We also need a reminder of what we should be doing, because it's a case of sometimes, look, we all know how to throw a punch, but when should you throw that punch? It's in the timing of things, and we need a reminder. Sometimes you go a little bit stale, and let's face it, look, COVID took the wind out of a lot of people, including myself. Look, I'm a positive guy, but we all got winded, and sometimes you can doubt yourself a little bit. So, we need some reinforcement. We need an adjustment. We need to be reinvigorated. And we need to be ready for the next stage of growth. So if you don't build yourself up, you're not going to be ready. I mean, and talking to you is about making myself structurally stronger, structurally sound, get the foundation back. And it's not about learning 1,000 new things. Each time we talk, I get that one thing that will adjust me. But that one thing that adjusts can also create 10 new ideas of inspiration. And then I obviously pass that on to my team. And as the leader of the school, if I'm not enthused, if I'm not motivated, how do I expect my team to be? How do I expect my students to be? So it starts and ends with me, and I have to invest in me, in time, and invest in in spending money too. But I think it's very worth it. Just in my mental frame, that in itself is priceless.
Very cool. And I think what's really important, what you said before, is like putting our ego aside, because as martial artists, we all kind of have a little bit of ego, right? We all think we kind of know everything. Um,
Absolutely. And we have a lot of ego, and people will talk about, oh, but I'm making okay money. For me, I don't care what money you're making. It's about what you could be making, what you could be doing. It's like that student, that he does great kicks. Well, it's not just how good is he doing, what is his potential? And for me, it's what is the potential of my school? And my potential is much greater than what is happening at the moment. So obviously, regardless of what the potential is, I'm not getting it there right now. So that ego says, look, let it go. I could be boasting and tell you how great I am, what nice cars I have, what nice home, but that's not the point. The point is that we're underperforming, and that is the fact.
mm,
And for me, I don't want to live my life underperforming. That's not what I teach. It's not how I live. And if I need external help, which in this case I came to you, uh, I need to get back to, you know, performing where the potential is and then some.
mm. Yeah, absolutely agree. And then I know when you came on board, one of the things you mentioned to me was like, hey, like I did a lot of the consulting in the past for other people. Like I was the person that helped other people, and like times have changed, right? And most people, they're probably in your situation, they're probably just going to keep on doing what they've always done because, hey, I've been doing this for 40 years. I've helped other people in the past. I've been in your situation. But you, like, you put your ego aside and like, okay, yeah, listen, I once was that great, maybe, but obviously times have changed. The market has changed, and you want to stay ahead of that, right? Maybe you fell behind because of COVID, but like you want to get back to that glory that your school once had. And but you took that ego and put it behind you. So for me, like being able to work with someone like you is just so enjoyable because you're a great student and a great listener, but also like we're willing to even to do that because most people won't. Like they'll just say, "Oh, I know what I'm doing. Oh, I know what I need to do better," but they never actually do, right?
Well, you can't survive on past glories.
Yeah, totally.
And,
So,
and the fact is, look, I'm in a position where I can virtually retire, but it's not about me. What is my legacy? I want my school to not just survive. I want my school to thrive.
mm,
And to me, then that when it's performing at its best, that brings me joy. It really does. I want to see. I have a massive floor. I don't want to see three people on a massive floor. I want to see that floor full of kids, parents, giving their kids, high fives, claps, and thumbs up, and saying, my kids are just doing awesome. And you know what? I want more of that feeling that brings me joy, and it really does. And as they say, the numbers don't lie.
yeah, awesome. Well, thanks for being so open and honest about it. So, why did you could have chose any program, right? Like obviously you did consulting in the past, so and you've helped other martial arts school owners. So why did you choose me and Double Your Dojo over anything else?
Look, first of all, not that many people know you, number one, compared to most.
Sure.
I don't mean that just to be disrespectful,
Yeah,
but also
no.
the biggest thing is you don't know me.
Hmm.
And I think that's a good thing because sometimes, look, I can meet people that can be a little bit intimidated, a little bit in awe. I've been teaching for 40 years. You own your own building, but you know, with yourself, you've got your numbers. You're doing pretty well. And sometimes I like that fresh approach. That new guy on the block, the new guy on the block that's got some serious numbers. And obviously, you've researched, you've studied a lot, and it's different to the path that I've taken over the years. So for me, if I follow the same path, I'm going to get the same sort of ideas. So
Hmm.
I wanted someone a little bit fresh. So you
Hmm.
know, and all the little things that we've spoken about, like I said, that one little thing that's very different. Even a simple thing. Even today, we spoke about a simple thing like as a confirmation text and how you word that little bit of a different approach. Yeah, and everyone does a confirmation text, but your little wording, some keywords.
You want to
It's
tell us what that is for people that are listening? Like what? And it's
Should
so
I tell them?
subtle.
No, I'm
Yeah.
not going to tell them. I
No,
think they
no,
should,
no. Tell them. No, no,
find
no.
out.
Tell them. Let them tell them.
Well, look, you know what? A simple thing is rather than, and look, we've all done it. You have a 5 p.m. Appointment today. We look forward to seeing you. Friendly reminder. And we all do words to that effect. But in your case, it was, um, uh, 5:10 today. Will I see you then? I'm actually saying I'm making it a bit more personal. And I'm looking for a response. I'm not just reminding them. Um, I'm just adding that little bit more to it. And I mean, you might say just that one letter I. Um, it's just so profound for me. Um, and for me, we need to begin with the end in mind. So that little reminder text just so much more powerful, and that can make you or break you, quite frankly, because if we don't get them there, I know if they come to my school, I can tell you when they walk in, they're going to join. I must get them there.
Mm.
And that's why that little letter I, and just the way, I mean, you'll say it much better than I, because we only just spoke about that today, but to me, you've got that whole process down pat.
Mm.
And again, we need to tune that. I've got some habits that have made me survive, but right now those habits are not helping me to thrive.
Mm.
And we need a new approach, some
Totally.
new word. We need some new inspiration. So for me, I'm after today just chatting. To be honest, I'm inspired for more of my intros. Looking forward to the reaction of the parents, and the reaction of the child.
Mm.
All those things interlink, and I've sort of forgotten about that, how they're linked. To be honest, we either talk too much to the parent or talk too much to the child,
Mm.
but we're all interlinked. And I say parents as opposed to parent. Ideally, we'd love both. And if we don't have both, you got some wonderful ideas on how to get both, whether it be in person or by any other means. Which
Yeah.
I like that flexibility. It's all about the result. But again, I as long as I've been teaching, I have not done all those little things which end up, I got no doubt, will bring big results, because I feel so good just about, I can feel it in the words. I'm inspired, knowing that the families are going to be inspired, which, we're all about inspiration. If they don't get that inspiration from that, from the phone to in person, well, then we've failed in our job.
Yeah, I totally agree. And for people that are listening, one of the things we went over today is like when you do a confirmation text, instead of saying, "Oh, here's the time," you always want to elicit a response to say like, "Will I see you then?" And always use the word "I" and not "we," because when you say "we," it's like they can not show up to a company or a business. But if you say "I," and they feel like someone's waiting there for them, so they're more likely to show up. So very, very subtle. And I think another thing you said is important is just like, you have fresh ideas, but when people come on board with me, like at W Dojo, sometimes people think like, oh, I need to do everything completely different. Like I need to change everything. But really, it's kind of like, what's the difference between my jump shot and LeBron James jump shot, right? It's like if you watch us like next to each other and you don't know much about basketball, they probably look almost the same, right? Not totally different, but there's obviously like his goes in a lot more than mine does. And he does a lot of tiny, subtle things that make a huge difference, right? And it's the subtle, tiny little differences that make a difference between LeBron James and me. It's not like I don't know how to shoot a basketball. Yeah, I can shoot a basketball, but doesn't mean I'm doing it the way that makes me a professional basketball player. Does that make sense? So I think that's really important you brought that up. So what in particular about the program do you think has really helped you like the most? And why do you feel like it's been so effective?
Okay, look, when you're the boss, when you're the master of the school, fact is you're in charge, you don't answer to no one. So, and, as I've got age on you, I've probably got experience on you, but where you have it on me is accountability.
Mm.
I need to report. It's not just about numbers, it's about what did I do? did I follow this up? And I mean, look, let's face it, no one else questions me. Um, but you get to question me. So, and I need to report, I need to perform. And I just think, look, accountability is such an important thing. And that feedback each week. If you didn't do this, you can be a little bit embarrassed. And we do have that ego about performing. So, accountability is everything. I mean, it's great to make a plan, but if you don't have some sort of assessment, some sort of review, then everything really is in vain.
Very cool. And as a result of starting, I mean, I think you're like 2.5, 3 months in, something like that, maybe 10, 11 weeks in. Like what changes have you seen? Like what's been the result of working with me so far?
Look, well, the fact is, I'd say our figures already gone up in 20% already, but the potentially for me, I'm enthused. And look, for those that know, my son is involved in the business, getting him involved. And look, he won't go as fast a process as my mind works. But the thing is, he's getting more involved. And sometimes even, look, in my case, even to have an outside voice involved in the business is much easier than, I'd rather you be the bad guy than me.
Okay, I can do
And,
that.
and sometimes that's a good thing too, because I'm the dad, and yes, I'm the owner, but all of a sudden we've invested in someone to help in the business. So that motivation in itself, when you've invested, you want to maximize that investment by in my case, I want to get my son involved more. So he's motivated, one, to impress me, two, to help the business, three, hey, I've invested. I would like a return on that. And in this case, the return is not just for a day, but the return is part of my legacy to make it bigger, stronger, better in the longer term.
Mm,
That's my legacy, and really, that's what I'm investing in.
mm.
This is not a part-time thing. This is not a little one-day thing. This is a 40-year investment of my time that deserves much better. So you've returned the faith so far, and I have no doubt that by the time we finish our course, there will be even more, because there is more each week. So
Cool. Well, thank you for saying that. And where do you think you'd be right now if you didn't start with me and you just, you're like, all right, I already know what I'm doing. I'm just gonna stay in the same spot. Like, where do you think you'd be if you didn't start?
look, my answer to that is, the old cliche: if you're doing the same thing, you're going to get the same results. So for me, I wasn't happy with the result. I needed to change something. So wherever it is, if you're happy where you are, stay there, right? If you're happy with it. But you know, if you don't change anything, nothing's going to change. It's simple, right? Keep on doing the same thing. Um, will always produce the same results. And for me, I did not want the same results. We needed to kickstart uh, really a new chapter, and it is post-COVID. Um Attitudes have changed, people have changed, governments have changed, and we need to take control. And part of that control is to make some serious changes and adjust. And look, the dinosaurs didn't adjust and they died. So for me, I don't want to die. I just want to travel more and inspire more people and inspire my son and my students. So we had to make those changes and invest. Really, fact is, I'm buying my motivation. I'm buying those changes. I'm buying positive change. And the fact is, yes, I've spent a little bit of money, but honestly, it's probably the best money I've ever spent, because if I'm not willing to spend, how can I ask my students to be willing to spend?
Very cool. Very cool. Really kind words. So if there's anyone watching this, Fari, and they're on the fence about, joining my program, what would you say to them?
Well, for one, your butt's going to get really sore sitting on a fence. right? You can't stay there forever. You need to pick a side, and really, it's about staying where you are or moving forward. It's simple, right? And in my case, I've got 27 martial arts schools in my area that are full time. I need to be a point of difference, and if you want to be the go-to school, you need to obviously update and be the best you can be, and be. People say we compete with other sports. I also compete with 27 other martial arts schools.
Hmm.
So, if you want to compete, if you want to thrive, if you're not growing, you're dying. And you need to get off that fence, because I'm telling you, on the fence, it might be a good view, but you're going to be watching other people grow and leave you behind, and you're going to fall on the wrong side of the fence.
Yeah.
It's simple as that.
And it's not like you have no schools around you. You have 27 schools. You're like a big
And
town, lots of competition.
big schools, then I've got a whole lot of little part-timers that will be in like little community centers. You might get
Yeah.
10 different martial arts in one community center on different days. That's not counting them. I'm
Yeah.
talking 27 serious full-time centers that will love to kick my butt and say, we are doing better than that old guy there.
Mm. Got it. Yeah, that's awesome that you at least acknowledge your competition and think, okay, what am I going to do differently? How am I going to beat them? Not how am I going to sit there and here's the thing: most people do the same marketing, that they do as every other martial arts school. These basically the same words, basically the same pictures of some kid kicking, but you're willing to put in the work and invest, like invest money into it in order to be able to do something different. So you get a different result and you don't just fall in with the same as everyone else. So you can be the kicking school. And
all of them are doing the same thing. All of them are all about ad spend.
Yep.
And the fact is that, you're not about ad spend. I'm spending on you to help my school, as opposed to spending on ad spend like everyone else.
Right.
And the fact is, the ad spend, I just don't think it's getting the results that it once was. And you imagine 27 schools in my area, all advertising on Facebook,
Exactly,
all advertising on Google. Well, okay, who's going to spend more money? Where does it end? Are you going to outspend that person? I mean, it can never end, but I just don't think it's a good spend. So I'd rather be spending my time on within my school and doing all those things that can get me more members, increase my retention.
The organic strategies we talk about through like schools and daycares. Yeah. Yeah.
Correct. And it's not ad spend. Ad spend, to be honest, and I'm sorry to be crude, but I may as well fart in the wind.
Yeah.
One or two people may notice, but that nice feeling is not going to last too long.
I'm going to steal that analogy. And just for people who are watching, like you have like your main school, but it's not like your only thing that you like. You're a multi-school operator, right? You have other schools under your umbrella. Can you just tell us a little bit more about that? Like what?
Yeah, look, our KMA Black Belt Success Schools. When a student of mine moves in a state or to another town, and they go, you know what, Master Fari, I really don't like the schools in the area. I just love the way we do things, and I help them open up a school. It's simple as that. That's my number one. Number two is I help a lot of my students have. I'm into multiple income streams, so I help them open up another location. And I show them how to do that in a good lifestyle and learn from all my mistakes, and to keep it simple for them, help their families, help them grow. Some go into it full time, some will do it part time, but the main thing is that they're having a good time.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for being on here. I'm excited to see you keep growing. I know you're up, you said like 20%, something like that. And I think you're going to keep growing. And I know
and probably a little bit more, which is really good.
Yeah, amazing. And I know that like just even today from our meeting we had today, like just tremendous growth in the past week. And I know we have all these like things to set up, the strategic partnerships that are starting to roll in. So I know in a couple of weeks from now, it's going to be gangbusters. So I'm really excited about that. So thank you so much. You're awesome. High five.
Enjoy your day.
Yeah.